Okay, how can I stop wavering? I repeat affirmations often, and there's another side of my brain that always focuses on the things that are actually happening. Like, even when I affirm this is happening, the other side of it says, no, it's not. I notice when it happens, and I try not to focus on it, but it happens quite often. Also, my external reality is currently going through a lot of unwanted circumstances, so they make it a little bit more difficult to focus on the favorable outcome because it's right in front of my face so often. Any tips or advice would be appreciated. To waver is to be a human with a brain that's working as it should. To waver is to be a human who has a brain that's working perfectly as it should, right? My mind wavers too. So I've got 3 bullet points here. First one is Neville Goddard's ladder technique story. It was basically a little experiment he did for his students who were a bit skeptical or doubting whether his manifestation techniques would work for them. So he said to them all, okay, between now and our next session, I want you to do a practice and only come back if the practice proves me right. Okay? You don't have to come back if it doesn't work. So he said, here's what I want you to do. Throughout your day, I want you to be determined that you will not climb a ladder. You can even say to yourself out loud, I will not climb a ladder. But every night as you drift off to sleep, I want you to visualize in great detail yourself climbing up a ladder. Imagine your hands on the wood. Imagine yourself climbing the rungs of the ladder and reaching the top of the ladder. And imagine that every night as you go to sleep. But during the day, you can tell yourself, I'm not going to climb a ladder. And you can try not to climb a ladder. Okay. And then he said, everyone who ends up climbing a ladder, come to the next seminar. Okay. And so they tried it. His students tried this, and they found to their great surprise that even though they were consciously avoiding climbing ladders and thought, well, how hard can that be? I just won't climb a ladder. Okay. They all ended up being in a situation where they found themselves up a ladder. The point of that experiment is that even if during your waking day you are consciously thinking things or focusing on things that contradict what you want, it goes to show that what you focus on, what you imagine, and how you feel as you are drifting off to sleep is still more powerful than any doubts that you could have during the day, of any wavering thoughts that you could have during the day. Why? Because as we are drifting off to sleep, the subconscious mind opens wide open. And so whatever you feed your mind with as you're drifting off to sleep goes straight into the subconscious, which is infinitely more powerful than our conscious mind. Our subconscious mind essentially controls the majority of what we do. We are pretty much on a subconscious autopilot most of the time anyway. So if you ever find yourself exhausted by the task of trying to control every one of your waking thoughts, or you feel like it's impossible to do that because it probably is, don't worry. Don't worry. Not every thought that you think has to be perfect. Not every moment of your day has to be completely focused with your ideal dream reality. If anything, let this be just a weight off your chest that those thoughts pop in, those noises pop up in your head, those doubts come up. Don't worry that, oh my God, is this going to ruin everything? Oh my God, is this going to block my manifestations? Is this going to stop me from getting what I want? Just give them minimal power because they have minimal power. Yeah. And enjoy the fact that those thoughts as you drift off to sleep at night, also your first waking thoughts as you are groggy and waking up at the beginning of your day as well. Your subconscious is still also more impressionable because your brain, when you're transitioning from waking to sleeping, or sleeping to waking, your brain is moving through different frequencies. Yeah. And when it's going through when it's transitioning, you are temporarily at the theta frequency, and that is like being in a hypnotic state. Yeah, so it's also important you wake up, you don't go straight for your phone and start scrolling through a bunch of crap that makes you feel not good enough, or negative news that makes you feel like the world is a terrible place, or straight into emails that cause you to feel all stressed. Yeah, just be mindful of, okay, my subconscious is still wide open here. So what am I going to focus on? What am I going to think about? What am I going to tell myself in these beautiful windows of opportunity? And that's why I love things like scripting letters and the Parrot app, because they are very low effort. There you are, you're still waking up. Huh? What do I, and you can just grab the letter or press play on your recording and feed your subconscious with beautiful things. Or indeed, like Katerina says, gratitude. Yeah. Or a lovely morning meditation. So that's one, the ladder technique story. The second thing is 51% or more is enough. I remember listening to, is it called, there's The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, and then there's also The Power by Rhonda Byrne. And I had that audiobook and I listened to it over and over and over again for about a year. And I remember her talking about, kind of like a referendum election. Whichever party gets 51% of the votes wins. So if you have found that, maybe a lot of your time has been focused on how it's not working, how it's not possible, how you can't do it, then just start feeding more. 51% or more is all you need to get momentum moving in the different direction. Yeah. And then the last thing I've had here, last thing I've written here is use your tools like the Parrot app to create a wall of sound for yourself, affirming the thoughts, the beliefs, and the reality that you want to be focused on. With technology, we pretty much all of us have our phones with us all the time or near to us all the time. You can create a wall of sound. Yeah, if you feel like, oh, these things distract me, these things cause me to doubt, these things affect me for hours and hours. You have tools that you can use to support your environment, to support um, to support what your mind is hearing and being fed with. So really leverage that as much as you want. But yeah, you don't have to be perfectly focused and positive all the time. It's not about that. It's just about as much as you can, when you can, gently guiding your thoughts in the direction that you want, not beating yourself up. Don't get frustrated. Don't punish yourself for it. Just like a child who needs support, who needs reassurance, who needs love. Be patient with yourself. Be patient with your mind. Yes, be kind to yourself as much as you can. We all need that. And especially if we're going through a challenging time, we need that even more.